Today on Investigate TV Plus Weekend, a warning to park at your own risk. We investigate the lack of regulations for America's aging parking structures.
Oh my God, my car is parked down there.
Plus, lots of data, little security. We find out what connected cars collect and where that information goes.
Who owns who, right? Do I own the car, or does the car own me?
Investigate TV Plus Weekend starts right now. Hello and welcome to Investigate TV Plus Weekend. I'm Lee Zurich. From car break-ins to being sideswiped, those are about the worst things you might expect to happen inside a parking garage. But across America, a hidden danger may be lurking where you park your car. Once a parking structure is built, reporter Chris Nakamoto found there are often few regulations that would force owners to conduct routine safety inspections.
This is where my car was parked. Right next to this beam.
Catherine Cruz is still trying to snap out of a nightmare after the parking garage where she kept her car came crumbling down. Bent beams marked the spot in the Cleveland suburb apartment complex where a large portion of the garage fell in. What's left of the parking structure still standing, now suspended with scaffolding. Months later, the collapse is still weighing on her mind and her wallet.
I finished paying off that car a week before. I made the final payment on that car a week before this collapse.
Her car, with just liability insurance, left in mangled ruins, crushed when a demo crew came in to remove debris, and getting back on the road has left Cruz saddled with thousands of dollars of debt.
Trust me, I was in a dark place for a long time, struggling.
News reports across America, like this one from outside Dallas, Texas, capturing examples of catastrophic collapses. Another from Jacksonville, Florida, displaying the aftermath. From Kentucky to Massachusetts, Virginia to Oregon, these concrete and steel behemoths are falling apart. Even partial structural failures causing dramatic scenes and significant damage, as in this 2022 incident in Parma, Ohio. The collapse leaving this car suspended in the air by its front and rear bumpers, pieces of concrete pancaked below, and burst pipes flooding the first floor. Without proper maintenance, concrete and metal weaken and break down, shortening a garage or deck's lifespan and increasing the risk of structural failure. But our investigation found, depending on where you live, there may be no one making sure that upkeep is done, leaving you to park at your own risk.
I don't park in certain parking structures. Simple as that. I just don't. I mean parking structures as little as less than 5 years old.
Jerry Braunstrup is the owner of Foundation Technology, a company in Southern California that specializes in parking garage repairs, making him acutely aware of the effects of the unrelenting stressors parking garages face, from fluctuating temperatures, corrosion from salt, exhaust from vehicles, and the sheer weight from them.
Cracking, and the cracking usually follows the lines of the rebar superstructure that's within the structure. Pieces of concrete start to chip and fall. Water starts to drip through concrete in places where there were not seams. So it's obviously known that there is a problem.
Damage like this can be fixed and decay slowed, but Braunstrup says that type of maintenance is often ignored because of the cost.
People don't spend the money. They just won't do it. They don't see the value in it.
The consequences of neglect can be deadly. In Surfside, Florida, the parking garage under a 13-story condo complex had been showing signs of distress and fatigue for years before the collapse in 2021 that killed 98 people and injured 11 more. And residents had reported large cracks and frequent flooding.
I mean, if we can keep concrete alive in Rome for 2,000 years, we can figure out a way to keep concrete alive in America that's only 50 to 100 years old, but yet we don't. We tear it down or wait till it falls down.
In a garage we checked, our cameras captured cracks which form gaps, allowing water to penetrate through, corroding the metal rebar inside the concrete. All signs of trouble easy to spot, even for non-experts. But some cities, like this one in California, are now leaning on experts, making inspections routine and repairing their garages as part of standard maintenance. The city of Santa Monica took a proactive step of inspecting all of their parking garages in 2009 after severe concrete cracking occurred in one of their structures. Based off of their inspections, 70% of the garages had problems, requiring $3.2 million in repairs. According to this city staff report, the city found 7 parking garages all needed repairs. Now they've fixed the structural slabs, concrete walls, columns, and vertical walls that showed waterproofing issues. Inspectors blaming problems on long-term usage and exposure to the elements. So basically, people need to pay attention when they're pulling into a parking garage.
Basically, instead of the people paying attention, regulatory agencies need to pay attention. That's a lot more important, I'll be honest with you. Regulatory agencies need to pay attention for the lack of maintenance on a parking structure that could fail in a moment's notice and have a catastrophic loss.
Our national investigative team found parking structure regulations are few and far between. Of the top 50 metro areas across the country, only a handful require parking structure owners to conduct any kind of periodic structural safety inspections after construction is complete. Even then, some only require those inspections for structures attached to condos or hotels, or that have been around for more than a decade or two. At the state level, only New York requires that all parking structures receive routine inspections. In 2018, the state mandated regular inspections every 3 years to look for signs of trouble. Last spring, a Manhattan garage fell apart, killing a worker inside. The city has since beefed up its pursuit of compliance with the inspection law. Garage owners now face up to $17,000 in penalties for each year they don't meet the requirement. As of January, only about 62% of the city's garages were in compliance.
The truth is, unfortunately, it takes a catastrophic event for our regulatory agencies to get off their backside to be able to do something about it.
Following the condo collapse in Florida, lawmakers in that state unanimously passed new regulations in hopes of preventing something like that from ever happening again. Earlier this year, lawmakers in Wisconsin introduced a bill that would mandate all parking structures be inspected at least every 5 years. And back in Ohio, after multiple issues near Cleveland, the city passed an ordinance in February requiring inspections of parking structures every 5 years and mandating owners address unsafe conditions immediately. But it's too late for residents like Catherine Cruz, still facing the aftermath of a collapse, consequences that have continued even months later. Her neighbor died in December, killed in a hit and run, after she says he was forced to park across the street because their complex's parking garage was out of order.
Actually, my daughter witnessed he got hit in the street, crossing the street with his groceries to come to the apartment because they have to park across the street at the grocery store now. And he passed away. It was very sad.
But look at this. This is what you'll see. See all this spalling and separation? This is so typical of parking structures.
Experts like Braunstrup fear unless more leaders prioritize keeping residents safe, stories like the one Cruz shared will become more common. What's the worst case scenario if nothing changes?
Oh, we'll see more collapses. There's no doubt about it.
As for Cruz, she's decided to move on, leaving the apartment she's called home for 5 years, hoping for a fresh start.
Because I'm just really trying to keep my own head up above water, and since nobody can get answers from anybody, you just have to, you can't move forward if you're constantly looking back.
We reached out to the owners and lawyers representing the complex where Cruz lives. They declined to comment. The owners have been in court over building code violations the property received before the parking deck collapsed. They had been sentenced to fines and community service by the city's municipal court, but an appeals court kicked a case back because of errors it says the lower court made during sentencing.
Coming up, newer cars are like smartphones on wheels, collecting all sorts of information about you. We reveal what's being collected and how you can find out what your car knows about you next. You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes. Many Americans are finding out their new car is collecting way more information than they thought. Reporter Rachel DePompa finds out what's being tracked and how it's being used as the calls for lawmakers to act continue to grow.
Traveling through his favorite corners of Ann Arbor, Michigan, Ryan Bates discovered his new electric vehicle wasn't just getting him here or there.
I can see here when they started spying on me. On page 33, the first report was on November 7th of 2023.
He'd seen a couple of news reports that his 2023 Chevy Bolt EUV could be collecting information about him. So he reached out to a company that collects data, LexisNexis.
This is what LexisNexis sends you. It's page after page after page of my day-to-day activities. That's not for sale.
This is just one page Bates shared with us of his 200-page report. It shows in December of 2023, for example, he accelerated and had a hard break.
Was I braking hard because a kid ran into the street? Or was I braking hard because I'm a bad driver? This report doesn't say any of that. Have they given it to my insurance company? I don't know. There's no way to know.
Bates says he had no idea his car was collecting this information until he read the LexisNexis report. He found out the tracking started the day he bought the car, when he received a free OnStar subscription from Chevy's parent company, General Motors. That's an in-vehicle safety, security, and navigational system.
Who owns who, right? Do I own the car, or does the car own me?
He's not the only consumer signaling a problem. The Texas Attorney General is now suing General Motors and OnStar, saying the companies have unlawfully collected, used, and sold the driving data of more than 1.8 million Texans. And there are multiple class action lawsuits filed. One started in Michigan and was transferred to Georgia. There's another in Florida. All of these lawsuits claim insurance premiums for consumers shot up after erroneous and negative driving information was illegally supplied to insurance carriers. So far, GM and OnStar have denied all the claims, and GM announced in April of 2024 it severed ties with LexisNexis.
Newer cars are now smartphones on wheels. There are sensors, cameras, and GPS collecting data. It's called telematics, and it's essentially the way your vehicle now communicates with the outside world, allowing your vehicle to store and transmit data in real time.
When you talk about it from a privacy perspective, telematics are a scary thing for consumers in many respects. But when you talk about it from a safety perspective, it's critical.
Michael Brooks is the executive director for the Center for Auto Safety. He says the information, if anonymous, is a game changer for safety because it can monitor speed, acceleration, and braking, which are critical as manufacturers develop more self-driving features. Though, he says, that information, out of context, doesn't drive home the full picture. In 2017, only 6% of cars were connected to the internet. In 2023, that number jumped to nearly 31%. And LexisNexis forecasts by 2027, almost half of vehicles in the U.S. will be connected.
Unfortunately, right now in America, there's very little law around who controls that data. The consumers don't have a lot of rights in law that says this is your data and you can control it.
Senator Jeff Merkley from Oregon just filed the Car Privacy Rights Act for 2024. He wants to ban car manufacturers from sharing or selling any data collected from a vehicle and require all car manufacturers to allow consumers to easily opt out of data collection. As Ryan Bates navigates the findings of his own report and where his information may have gone, he's urging Congress not to hit the brakes on stronger consumer protection laws.
The solution here isn't buy a different car. The solution is we need laws to stop this.
We reached out to LexisNexis and never heard back. We also reached out to several auto insurance companies. 3 got back to us saying they do collect information about driving habits. To see exactly what is collected and how it's used, go to InvestigateTV.com and search Data Driven. Up next, a car seat is arguably the most important product you can have to keep your child safe while on the road. But experts warn of an increase in counterfeits. We show you how to spot them. When it comes to protecting kids, parents typically go the extra mile. But with so many car safety seat options, it can be tough to spot a counterfeit. Chris Welty in New Orleans shares how to spot a fake and explains an even bigger issue.
Baby Olivia is mom Kate Schmidt's pride and joy.
Safety's number one. You gotta protect these little ones.
Before Olivia's arrival, Schmidt says she spent months trying to find the perfect car seat.
The consumer report really helped because there's a lot of things out there online, and trying to figure out which one can be trusted and not is difficult. So we started with that, and then just looking at all the reviews and trying to figure out what was the best option for us.
An overwhelming task, especially with hundreds of options online. One of the popular ones, Duna, a car seat that also turns into a stroller.
We went into the business of car seats because we had a mission in life to protect kids and make the lives of families simpler.
Amiad Raviv, Duna CEO, says counterfeits have been a problem since the company launched 10 years ago.
That in the field of car seats, there's enough awareness for people to know that they shouldn't buy a fake product. It still happens.
Raviv says it's not just Duna, but competitors also deal with knockoffs. He says often the price is cheaper, but the seats are usually not crash tested and are made from substandard material.
Our car seat absorbed the energy, stayed intact, didn't move too much, etc., while the other car seat broke in half. Parts started flying out, screws, bolts, the handle ripped out, etc.
Raviv says Duna has a team dedicated to purchasing knockoffs before they can get to consumers. Plus, the company says on average, they take down 1,000 websites selling counterfeit products each month.
Even if that number is very small, even if it's 1% of the population, you're talking about tens of thousands of children that are driving and riding in car seats which are completely unsafe.
If a car seat maybe looks too good to be true, the deal looks too good to be true.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says parents should check to see if the seat comes with lower anchor attachments, a chest clip on the harness, and a manufacturer's label in English and Spanish.
So that includes the name of the car seat, the date of manufacture, branding, model number, and expiration date, and that information is used to register your car seat, which allows manufacturers to notify you in the event of a recall. Counterfeit car seats won't have a model number, making it ineligible to register.
While counterfeit car seats are on the rise, manufacturers and first responders say the bigger issue is nearly 95% of all car seats are improperly installed.
Many times people come here and they say, "Oh, I'm the king or the queen of car seats. I've done this." Well, I've never seen one that's perfect.
Louisiana State Trooper Jacob Pishu is one of more than 700 nationally certified car seat techs in the state. The techs teach the public how to properly install and use car seats, as well as the dangers of adding mirrors and cameras on or around them.
They don't know, right? They don't know that this car could kill them, essentially, if they don't come from a lifestyle where car seats and seat belts are hammered into their head. So we encourage you to please, at the very least, have your seat checked.
According to the latest National Highway Traffic Safety Administration data, in 2022, 756 children under the age of 15 died in crashes. Of those, 266 were unrestrained. Bridget Garner, a trauma nurse and the director of the Louisiana Passenger Safety Task Force, says she has seen life-changing injuries because of improper restraint or none at all.
Brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, internal organs.
Gardner says following manufacturers' guidelines can save lives. She adds while some car seats come with more convenience features, price does not impact safety.
If you cannot afford a higher end seat and you go with the base model seat, you have guaranteed your child safety better than being on a vehicle seatbelt. You're not sacrificing.
Safety advocates say it's best to visit an official car seat fitting location to guarantee the smallest passengers remain safe.
Come, we will tell you and we'll show you exactly what is wrong or what's not wrong, and we'll take care of it together.
Coming up, the average age of a first-time mother has risen by about 2.5 years in the past 2 decades. We explain why more Americans are holding off on having kids after the break. A new survey from MarketWatch Guides finds 86% of American couples without kids are prioritizing other life goals over having children. Reporter Rachel DePompa spoke with the person behind the study and finds out why in this week's Watching Your Wallet.
It's no secret people are delaying parenthood. Since 2005, the average age of a first-time mother has risen by about 2.5 years. MarketWatch Guides actually surveyed 1,000 people who are married or in a serious relationship with dual incomes and no kids to find out why people are delaying having children. Matt Brannon is a data journalist with the company, and he says 2/3 of those surveyed said maintaining their health is more important than having children, and about 90% said not having kids really improved their relationship.
So maybe it's spending more time together, having less stress, or having more financial resources, which was another big part of the survey. In terms of financial priorities, we found that, simply put, some couples are more focused on making money than making babies.
41% of those surveyed said the cost of living is just too high right now.
And that's not to say these people are like Scrooge McDuck, who are just trying to hoard wealth. It's more like they're keenly aware of how expensive raising a child is. 88% of those we surveyed said raising a kid costs more money today than it has in the past.
Estimates put the cost of raising a child to the age of 18 at about $300,000. And Brannon says at a time when many Americans say they are living paycheck to paycheck, the thought of spending more than $250,000 is just too daunting for some.
And that's it for us. Thanks for joining us here on Investigate TV Plus Weekend.